Hey there, ambitious bookkeepers. It's Serena, and I've got something very special coming your way. Have you been looking to level up your bookkeeping business or pick up the tools and strategies that can truly elevate your services? Well, I've got a little secret I can't fully share just yet. Our Black Friday special is just around the corner, and this year it's going to be bigger than ever before. I'm talking about jaw-dropping savings on our most popular courses, templates, and you heard it here first, even our highly sought-after Elevate program. Now, if you're a fan of getting the best deals and maximizing your professional growth, this is your moment. But here's the thing. You need to stay in the know, and the only way to do that is by joining our email list. Trust me, you do not want to miss the exclusive updates and early insights I'll be sharing leading up to the big event. Head over to ambitiousbookkeeper.com/subscribe and drop your email. It's as simple as that, and you'll be the first to hear all the juicy details and be ready to grab what you need to take your bookkeeping game to the next level. Seriously, there's no better time than now to invest in yourself and your business. So are you ready to make this your best Black Friday yet? I cannot wait to share more, but for now, join our email list at ambitiousbookkeeper.com/subscribe and stay tuned. It's going to be epic. See you there. Hey, and welcome to the Ambitious Bookkeeper Podcast. I'm Serena Shoup, CPA, a mom of 3, and I've been running a virtual bookkeeping business from my home since 2017. You are in the right place if you are a bookkeeper, accountant, or an accounting student, and you believe and know in your heart that your purpose is bigger than sitting in a cubicle. If you're ready to learn some actionable tips and strategies for starting and growing your accounting business, then I hope you stick around. Welcome to the Ambitious Bookkeeper Podcast. Today I have a good old friend of mine, Liz Wilcox, on the show. This is now your, third appearance?
Third appearance. Ta-da.
Ta-da. So welcome. Go ahead and introduce yourself to our listener.
Yeah. Hey, friends. You know, when you listen to amazing podcasts like this one, and there's some crazy lady yelling at you about email marketing and saying, you know, for every $1 you spend with email, you can get 40 in return. Now go. And so you promptly open up your Kit account or Flowdesk or whatever the heck you're using, and then you feel kind of silly because you have no idea what the heck to say to your people. Well, what's up? I'm Liz Wilcox, and I help eliminate that problem. Yes, even for you, my bookkeeping friend, I'd love to help you write emails, hit send, and make more money.
Yes. And I'm just going to shamelessly plug right off the bat your email marketing templates. If you are listening to the podcast, you get an email every week directing you to this podcast to listen. But part of that email is, in general, one of your weekly templates.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. So I've got a $9 a month email marketing membership where I write, kind of like Mad Lib style template for you to take and make your own. I always say I get you about 80 to 90% there. But if you're using ChatGPT, you can put the templates in there. It'll get you 98% of the way there. So if you're struggling with writing those newsletters, I got your back, friend.
I never even considered putting that into ChatGPT.
At first I was like, oh, don't do that. Then my content's going to, and I'm like, people are going to do what they're going to do. And I really, really mean it when I say I want email marketing to be simple. So if that's how their brain works and how their system works, please put it in there. See, if that helps you, I love it for you.
Yeah. Especially if you've already been doing a lot of work with ChatGPT and it knows your brand voice and all of that. If you've been doing it that way. So it could be very helpful. I may have to try that and see how it turns out next time.
Yeah, why not?
So before we hit record, we were trying to figure out what to chat about. If you've been a longtime listener of the podcast, you may have heard the very first time Liz was on the podcast, but that was when I first started it. So we decided to kind of roll back to some of the foundations and talk about building an email list, because I know so many of you. This came up, I don't know if it was in my group, but someone was talking about what should they do for a Black Friday special and how do they talk about it and get it out there. And one of the advantages that I've had is that I have built an email list for my firm. And so I can I have this like built-in audience to offer things to. And so it got me thinking, like, not everybody's there. So how do we get them there? So let's chat about starting an email list.
Yeah. So the number one thing I want you to know about growing your email list, and I love that Serena just said this, is like you have to pause like that short-term pleasure for long-term gratification, right? We're going to talk about growing your email list and a couple of foundations today, but it's going to take a minute. And luckily, we've got a whole nother year until Black Friday, right? So I hope that, whenever you're listening to this, you can, spend the next 6-12 months really growing that email list, nurturing the relationship so that, the next time Black Friday does come up, like she just said, you can just, oh yeah, I've already got this list. I can blast out, here's some credit, sign up early for XYZ, whatever Black Friday offer you've got. So the first thing I want you to know about list building is that number one, like list building is a money-making activity. It might seem like, oh, this slow thing, but when you can change your mind around, oh, it's just this other thing everybody's telling me to do, when you can change it from that to, oh, this is a money-making activity. This is essential to my business. And really, it isn't even about getting to the highest number possible. It's about finding the right people. Then you can sort of breathe the sigh of relief and say, okay, yep, I'm going to go all in with email marketing. So when it comes to starting your email list, I really recommend having a lead magnet, something that incentivizes. They used to call it an ethical bribe, right? Like, I give you this, you give me your email address, right? So making sure you have some sort of lead magnet that's for your people. So depending on what kind of bookkeeper you are, what kind of firm you're trying to build, will depend on the lead magnet, because you might be talking to different customers than someone else. Maybe you want to work with nonprofits. So what kind of lead magnet can you create for them? Maybe you want to work with companies that, care about the environment. Maybe you want to work with online service businesses, right? Who is that audience? And I like to think, what is your vision for them, right? My vision for people is you make money with email marketing, right? If we're walking across Liz Wilcox University, that's the degree I'm handing you. So think about, your university. What degree are you handing your clients? What are you trying to really help? What is the vision there? And then take it all the way back to the first day of class. That is your lead magnet, right? With me, it's email marketing. You make money with email, right? So my first day of class, well, you need a welcome sequence to get started. That's the first thing I want you to learn. That's the first lesson, first day of class. So I know Serena has a lead magnet. I'd love to hear how you get people on your list for your firm.
So I have a couple different lead magnets, and that's because they both have different goals, right? Originally, I started with a lead magnet that kind of goes through like a bookkeeping checklist for someone who's going to DIY it. And then like a tech list and all the things are kind of built into that. And then maybe a year or two down the line, I was like, well, wait a second. I'm not trying to attract people doing their own book. I want to attract people who want to just hand it over. So I crafted a different lead magnet that talks about KPIs that they should be tracking. So I still have both available. But yeah, so those are my two different lead magnets. And the way that I get people to them is I drive in my blog posts. I do a monthly blog post, and I try to tie those lead magnets in when it makes sense. And then the other way that I drive people to them is that occasionally I'll share on my social media. I don't do too much with my social media on my firm. That's another way that I do it. But in general, the biggest way that I actually get people on my lead magnet is when they book a call or they fill out an interest form. I have a little like caveat that says we're going to add you to our email list. So that's another way that I do it. So I guess that could also be considered a lead magnet in itself, but I do email them that freebie when they get on the list anyways. So even if it comes from a different avenue, so everyone gets it. It's kind of a complex thing. Now that I'm talking about it, I'm like, this might be very confusing for a lot of people.
No, I think it makes sense. So, she's putting it on her website. And then, of course, like if people just want to book a call, they're going to be added to the email list as well. So I don't think that's confusing at all.
Okay.
And let's talk about that. As service providers, we want people to book a call, and it's, normally I recommend, on your homepage, we would need to put this lead magnet, right? And if you go to my website, you'll see I ask you to join my email list 5 times directly on the homepage. I ask you 5 times. Again, if you're like, Serena, I want to get people on a call, there is a balance that you should put on your homepage, right? Because you want to send people to your website. You want them to book a call. But I want you to remember, like, you are not Amazon.com. If I go to Amazon.com, I'm buying something. I know that I'm buying something, right? Most people are going to your website or even mine to just kind of peruse. Oh, I heard of this chick. Let me see what she's about. It's sort of like a billboard, like a soft sales page. So you want to make sure, you're having the book a call buttons. But I would recommend at least once, maybe twice, depending on the length of your page, put that lead magnet. Even saying something as direct as, not ready to book a call, but still interested, download this guide or whatever you decide to create. And that way you're still, picking up the maximum amount of eyeballs, because placement on your website is really important. So we just mentioned the home page. Also put it on your about page, right? Put it on your services page. Again, it could be the very last thing. On my website, it says, because I'm very 90s themed, so it says, oops, you did it again. You got to the end of the page and you didn't sign up for my list. So you could do something similar where it's, not ready to book a call or unsure if we're the right fit. Get on my email list or get this guide, so you can see more about what I'm about. Also, if you have blog posts like Serena, putting them in there at the top, in the middle, at the bottom, a sidebar on your website is a great place for the lead magnet. Even if you're not active on social media, if you have those accounts set up, making sure the link in the bio goes directly to a landing page, or, they know where they can sign up to join your list to learn more. That's really important.
Yeah. I do have it on my website now that you mention it. I'm like, I just don't think of that as like just because it's like the website's just there and it's been working. So it's like not really front of mind of like, I'm not actively pushing people to that lead magnet, but yeah, it is on there as well. So
yeah, well, I love that Serena just said, I'm not actively pushing people to that lead magnet, but I'm sure she's actively, or the team, is pushing people to the website, to this, to that. And then those things are just there. That's what people, when you grow your list, you might think, oh, well, I'm doing this, I'm doing the things. But if your website itself is not set up to capture leads, it's a really huge missed opportunity. You could be sending all the traffic to those blog posts, but if you don't have the call to action to capture that lead, you're really, really missing out. So I do recommend, of course, we want them to book a call. Of course we do. But again, we're not Amazon. Not everyone is going to always book a call. But if we can capture that lead somehow with, who would have thunk, a lead magnet? Wow, I just got that, right? If you can capture it with the lead magnet on the page, you're going to see much more list growth faster. So making that sure that your ecosystem is set up. So, in a few minutes, I'm going to tell you, you can get on podcasts, you can network, you can Pinterest, all these ideas. But if your homepage, again, is not set up, it's all for naught. So really recommend, if you've got 20, 30 minutes, even after listening to this episode, go get your laptop out, look at your homepage, look at your about page. Is there just even the smallest thing that says, hey, not ready yet? Join the list where I'll share more about XYZ. I think that'll really help increase your conversions later.
Yeah, absolutely. What's one of the things that, I have an answer for this, but I'm curious to hear your suggestion. As a bookkeeper, people might be like, well, like, what am I supposed to email people about?
Well, number one, your services, my dear.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not saying every email has to be a sales email, but I teach something called the email staircase. You can go back to my first episode. I'm sure we go really hard on that one, and that'll be in the show notes for you. But the email staircase is first you got a follower, then a friend, then a customer. And especially when you're a client-based business, some people will just be ready to buy, right? Yep, I heard of you through Liz. Liz says you're good. I'm ready to buy. But, some people might need a little bit more nurturing. They want to see the results you've gotten for other clients. They want to see the way you work. They want to, get a feel for your values. Is this person in alignment with me? Especially when it comes to money, right? Like you're going to be literally keeping the books here, right? I don't know. I would consider that a very intimate thing, right? Especially depending on your client. So you want to make sure in the emails, share just a little bit about yourself, give some behind the scenes of the business. Even when you have a win, celebrate with your email list. Oh, I just signed a client and, we're doing this. Of course, get permission from the client, right? If it's confidential, but, you can celebrate those wins. Show that you are invested in the client. If you took a new class, if you've got a new certification, if you just mastered Xero or QuickBooks, tell people that, hey, I just learned this new thing. I just got certified or I got recertified. This is my 8th year in a row, da, 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 da. They want to know that stuff. That's going to help them decide, yep, Liz is for me. Yep, Serena's for me. Yep, Shahara, that is my next bookkeeper, right? Also sharing when you're available. Oh, I've got 2 slots coming up, or I have no openings right now, but stay on the list because this and that. Especially if you're a bookkeeper that also deals in taxes, having that list when it comes to tax time. Hey, want to offload this? I have this much available, right? And then to Serena's point about Black Friday, when Black Friday is coming up or you want to do a sale, you have that list there and you can share those things.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I just got so many good tips that I'm like, oh, we should be incorporating that in our newsletter and this and that. Like, I only do a monthly newsletter for my firm, and we typically talk about like deadlines coming up, and then there's usually a section on like hear me speak. So I'll pop in like whatever podcast interview I had that last month or, whatever. And then I'll usually have like a blurb on like a money tip. So that could be related to like a software or just a general tip on banking or whatever money type stuff, because that's why they're there. Like they're here to get a little bit of value. And then you said not every email should be a sales email, or maybe it couldn't be, but I definitely sell in every email, but it's only once a month,
I mean, yeah, no, I also sell in every email. Especially if you're only emailing once a month, there should definitely be a pitch at the top, in the middle, wherever it makes sense, right? I think for most bookkeepers, once a month is pretty decent. I would say, once a month, and then if and when something is occurring like in the middle of the month, like, hey, don't forget tax deadline is coming up, or I know this year there's a new tax law or something. So maybe that pops up and you want to send that on the 15th. Just a quick note, like, hey, don't forget the deadline to conform with this law is coming up. If you need my help, boom, boom. And then it's just a sales email, but it's also like, oh, crap, I didn't even know about that. I don't even have to Google it. She put a link right here. Oh, snap. Yep, I need to hire her. Let me go back to that other link, right? I love the money tip that Serena just said. And here's what she's doing. So I talked about follower, friend, customer. So in order to make a friend in the inbox, you have to show you are invested in them, right? And so when she's sharing a money tip, whatever it is that month, she's saying like, yep, I know. She even just literally said it. I know they care about money. That's what they're here for, right? She knows that. So she's investing in those customers, in those potential customers by saying like, hey, this is the tip of the month, right? And so making sure your customers know that you are invested in them is going to help them invest back into you, aka book that call, get those services.
Absolutely. So monthly is okay.
Yeah, monthly is
Yeah.
okay for bookkeepers, and I find specifically with y'all, you get really tripped up. And normally I do say like once a week is a great
Hmm.
baseline. It's a great rule of thumb. But let's build that muscle, my friends. We don't go to the gym and suddenly walk out with six-pack abs, and suddenly it's in our daily routine to go to the gym, right? Maybe we go to the gym. Okay, I know I'm going to go on Tuesdays and Fridays. Okay, for a month we go Tuesday and Fridays, and then we build up, right? So that's the same as what I want you to do with your email list. Just once a month. And I just want you to be open to sending more than once a month.
Yeah.
Again, if that tax law comes up, even if you've got this great idea for this new sale, or you've got an opening up, or maybe you're all sold out, this is an underrated email to send. When you're all booked out, sending an email, hey, I just want to let you know, if you're thinking about booking my services, I'm actually all booked out for the next 6 weeks. I'll let you know when a new opening comes up. This is great to show people that you are actually in business, baby. For example, in November 2024, I sent out an email to only certain customers of mine to upgrade to a lifetime deal of my membership. And I said, I'm only selling 100. And then when I sold the 100, sent out an email, hey, there are none left. Sorry. And that got people like, oh, wow, there none left. I was thinking about it, but, and now they're definitely, oh, well, if you open it again, Liz, holler back, right? So it's a great way. It's a really underrated email to send out when you are actually booked out, to let people know. And also, this is great if you do have a referral network where you can say, oh, but I know my buddy over here has an opening for this type of client, right?
Oh, yeah, that's a really good point. You never think about doing that.
Listen, I love a referral network. Like, I don't take copywriting clients anymore, but people still always ask me. And, I know that if I promote so-and-so, I share so-and-so, they give me 10% back. Or, I know if I give it to this person, that person, they're going to help me out when I'm launching a big sale. Oh, she always gives me a lot of business. I'm going to promote her thing over here. So, and that's a great way to grow your list, right? Is to network. A lot of people think you have to network up, right? Like, oh, well, if only Serena would promote me, then maybe I could be successful. But Serena's been in business for a very long time, right? And maybe you're just starting out. That's a mismatch of, objectives there, right? And so if you can network across, especially when you're trying to list build, when you're trying to grow your clientele. So networking across is, oh, I'm in my first year of business. She's in her first year of business. What can we do together to grow each other's businesses, right? Maybe you're both local, so you can just go to chamber meetings together, right? You can share each other's business cards locally, drop yours and hers, right? Or if you're doing online stuff, how can you, let's do an Instagram live together. Serena mentioned I was on the podcast. It had to have been you've been doing this over 2 years now, right?
Yeah, I was like, the first time was like 3 years. I think I started in 2020.
Okay. Yeah. I knew it had been
2020.
a long time, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to age either one of us, but yeah, it's been a minute. And so, and here we are years later. And when we met, it was like, maybe we don't have anything to help each other with, but we were able to find a through line, and, now we're working together, right? And so finding those people that are at, the same level of business, and what can you do together to grow your businesses, grow your email list. Like, hey, I'll share your freebie, you share mine. Hey, I'll go live with you on your Instagram. Will you come into my Facebook group and go live with me? Those things really, I call them kind of like starter activities for your email list.
Yeah. And those are also just really good starter activities to getting comfortable doing those kinds of things.
Amen. Y'all, well, let's talk about that for a second. I know this stuff is cringy. I know it's hard to put yourself out there. But here is the thing that you got to know about email marketing. Well, really just business. Like, you are your own hype man. No one is going to care more than you about your business. And they shouldn't. It's not theirs. Let this be freeing. And when I say, and I say it with love, I promise, like nobody cares. Nobody cares. But you have to care. You have to care deeply. You have to care enough to get out of your comfort zone, right? To go out and find those networking partners, to go to the Chamber of Commerce, to go live on Instagram or LinkedIn or wherever the heck your people are, right? You have to care. You are the hype. When it comes to your email list, we talked about building your ecosystem, making sure it's on your social media bios, making sure, your homepage is set up. But look, you can have the most beautiful ecosystem in the whole world, but if nobody knows it's there, nobody's visiting, right? And so you have to be the one to put yourself, your business, your services out there. And yeah, it totally sucks. I'm sorry. Unless you have a lot of money for advertising, like this just is the way it is. And so when it comes to list building, when it comes to growing your business just in general, I find it's really about awareness, right? Would you agree? Like the more aware people are of you, the more the business grows. Would you agree?
100%. And I was just, as you were talking about this whole thing, I was like reminded of when I've listened to like several different podcasts that are kind of all connected by the same people, not like connected with the same people, but you know the ones I'm talking about, where it's like you get someone that goes on interviews on one and then they're on this other one and then they're on this other one. It's like, oh, this person is everywhere. This is what you've done, by the way. And it works, obviously. But yeah, it's like when you start to see that same person everywhere, it's like, okay, well, maybe I should start really paying attention to them because they're everywhere. So what do they actually have to say? But that could be anyone. Like do a podcast interview round, go do a bunch of lives with a bunch of different people in your network, and you'll be the one that's the person that's everywhere.
Yeah. So I do this. I've been on, oh my gosh, over 200 podcasts, over 100 like digital summits. And it really, y'all, I call this the Drake method, okay? I don't talk about this enough. I really don't. So y'all know the rapper Drake. Of course you do, because I stole this idea from him. He was everywhere in like 2019. This man was on every song. He was on every commercial. He had cameos in like little movies. He was on the radio. He was on the TV. He was on the internet. He was everywhere. And I'm not saying, you have to be Drake, right? But if you want any sort of sustainable business, you have to have different touch points, right? People have to hear you on that podcast, especially if you're building online. They have to hear you on that podcast. They have to see you over in that Facebook group. They have to, be able to see you on the email, right? Emailing at least once a month. You can send that newsletter like Serena was saying, and then, oh, hey, just popping in, I've got an opening, just a quick little email here and there. That's going to really help you, again, stay top of mind, which is really, really important. Because, the first time they see or hear about your email list, maybe they don't join. But the second time, oh, I've heard of her. I've heard of them. Let me check this out, right? So it's something that I find a lot of business owners, especially when we're building online and we see these people that are promising us, $100,000 in 48 hours, join this webinar, just buy this $30 thing and I'm going to show you how to get 100 followers on Instagram in the next 24 hours. Like really, I'm here to keep it real. This is a long-term game. And if you can focus on list building, growing that email list, putting yourself in those places online so that people come back to the website, they come into your ecosystem, it's set up for leads, that's really, how you build that firm foundation and a sustainable business and firm.
Yeah, it is a long game.
It is, y'all.
That's one of the things that I'm constantly telling my students is like, they're like, I'm not getting any clients yet. And I'm like, well, how many Upwork proposals have you submitted? And how many times have you like put yourself out there? Because it's a long game and it's a numbers game.
It is a numbers game. Y'all, I've done 6 podcasts this week, and it's Tuesday, 10:45 in the morning. And y'all, I have an email list of almost 15,000. What am I doing here? I know that it's a numbers game, right? And y'all, I've been on this podcast 3 times now. I could say, nope, I've talked to Serena. All I can talk to her about, they'll discover me. They'll be listening to her episodes. It's fine. But no, I know it's a numbers game. I know Serena in the last 2 years, or I think we recorded maybe a year ago. I know in the last year she's been putting in the work. She's been finding new people, and maybe I could connect with some of them, right? And so oh my gosh, it really is a numbers game, y'all. Just keep taking action. And the beautiful thing is, when you're starting out, like she was saying, how many Upwork proposals, how many this, how many that. It's so ugly in the beginning. Just let it be ugly, my friend. It's like, oh yeah, I did this, I did that. Probably if you go back to and listen to our first episode, we'll probably both sound rusty, terrible. We'll be sputtering and muttering. Practice really does make perfect, and just let it be ugly. Let yourself not get the proposal, not get the client, because you're going to learn so much. Even when it comes to list building, you're going to learn, oh yeah, I tried the networking thing, Liz. I didn't really like it, but I love doing podcast interviews, or I'm really into bundles, or I found my thing going to local networking events. That's how I'm growing my list, right? You just have to let yourself kind of do it ugly, and then, see what works so you can pretty it up later, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, in the interest of time, because I have a hard stop, I have one more question for you. It's not email list related, although you could probably turn it into this. But anyway, as a business owner, and I know you have a bookkeeper, and I've probably asked you this on a previous episode, but what is 1 or 2 things that your bookkeeper has done have been the biggest game changer and solidified that yes, I'm working with the right person?
Yeah, I love my bookkeeper. I've worked with her almost 5 years now. And the main thing that keeps me going with her is that she gives a crap about my business. Every time we meet, we go through the numbers, of course, but because she knows my goals, and not just my business goals, she knows what I'm trying to do with my life. And that's because as her client, she works with online businesses, right? She works with those quote unquote solopreneurs, right? So the life aspect of it is very important. Because she knows those things, she can help me make better decisions. She can use the numbers to say, well, I know you want this, but the money is reflecting this, or your spending is reflecting that. If you still want this over here, maybe knock it off over here, right? or you aren't, for example, this year I bought a house. And so the year before I was saying, yeah, I'm thinking about buying a house. So let's save as much money as possible. Can you tell me when I'm spending past this certain point? Right. And every month she would say, oh, the spending's good. Or, oh, I noticed you bought this and that. Was that necessary? And so she's really consulting with me. Right. And it's great. It's not just here's the numbers, here's a spreadsheet, and then I can even to my own self say, oh yeah, I did need that. It was worth the extra money, because ultimately I am the business owner. She never makes me feel like, well, I'm doing anything wrong, but she's there to remind me, oh, you said you wanted to do this with the money. We're on track or we're not on track. Here's what I'm noticing with the numbers about that goal. So that's really what I personally love about working with Angelica, because she really knows what I want out of life, how I want the business to run. And she can look at the numbers, look at the spreadsheet and say, yep, you're so on track over here. This is great. Month over month, we're improving. Or, oh my gosh, Liz, I know buying a house was expensive, but, maybe you don't need that much furniture all at once or whatever, So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, awesome. And congratulations on buying a house. That's
Thank
exciting.
you. I really, y'all, this is, and I know you have to leave, so I will wrap it up very nicely. Y'all, as bookkeepers, your work is so important. I credit all of my success, my financial success, to hiring a bookkeeper before I made $1 in my business. I have had businesses before that did not succeed in the way that this business succeeds. Even though I was making many, many sales, I did not have my financial act together. I could not keep my own books, even though I thought I could. When I started with my bookkeeper, I started a whole new bank account, a whole new system, and I've learned so much about the power of money. What you do is so important. My bookkeeper has changed my life. I truly believe if I hadn't hired a bookkeeper, honestly, I'd probably still be married. I'd probably still be broke, and I'd probably still be wondering where my money went. I'm not even joking. I firmly believe in the power of bookkeeping, and that includes you listening. So please, I know it's cringy. Please get yourself out there, do it ugly. You're bound to catch something and go from there. And you're going to find a client just like me who loves you to death and would literally die for you. So that's how I just love my bookkeeper so much. And I know there are people out there that will love you too. Thank you so much for having me, Serena. I can't wait to see what everybody does with their email and with their businesses. So exciting.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And if someone wants to connect with you, we'll have everything linked in the show notes, but go ahead and tell us where's the best place to reach you.
Of course. I got so wrapped up and I'm enamored. LizWilcox.com, hot pink button. We're going to get you everything you need to get set up with email. We're going to get you a welcome sequence, 3 samples from that membership we pitched earlier, and subject lines for a year full of prompts. LizWilcox.com. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone who helps make this podcast possible. Content and interviews are produced by me, Serena Shu. Our intro and outro music is written and performed by my brother, Ian Gilliam. Editing is also by Ian using his awesome sound engineering skills along with Descript software. Hosting and publishing is by Buzzsprout. And you can check out the show notes for links to all of these amazing resources and resources mentioned in the episode.
Be ambitious.